Hey, this is April. I forgot to record the lecture, so I'm going to give you an abbreviated version of what we did in class. This is the warm-up question. How would you define quality English work, specifically writing? List 5 good qualities and 5 bad qualities. If you weren't in class, you can do this at home, and then I will create a Dropbox in the in-class material, which will allow you to Dropbox it and get your 5 points. So then in class, we went over everybody's good qualities and bad qualities. Good quality being answers that were well thought out, that you proofread, you had good spelling, good grammar, answers that actually answered the question. Bad qualities would of course be the opposite, answers that weren't well thought out, answers that didn't answer the question, incomplete answers, bad grammar, bad spelling, or maybe not even doing the assignment at all. So what we did was I had people take a look at this question from your last week's assignments, and it was on the Anne Bradstreet poetry. What different emotions does Bradstreet express at various points in the poem? Point out lines in the poem that support your ideas. And this one was about the poem about her house burning down. So I had people take a look at this question, and I said, what should you do first, second, and then third? And the first thing you should do is figure out what this question wants from you, because you can't answer a question if you don't know what it wants from you. And this question is asking you to, 1, find different points in the poem when Bradstreet has different emotions. And probably the emotions are going to be about her house burning down, so how does she feel at the beginning, middle, and end? It says specifically point out lines in the poem, which means it wants quotes, examples, concrete details. So you're going to have to go back to the poem, maybe reread it, and then find specific details that show how she felt. So that's the first thing you do. Second thing you do, of course, is to go back to the poem, reread it, find your examples, and the third thing, of course, is to actually write your answer. So what we did was we took a look at some sample student answers, and I took these exactly from last week's work, and we discussed why something was good and why something wasn't good. And this answer, the author expresses multiple different emotions throughout the poem. At first she is sad and overwhelmed, and then she looks back and is happy. So you get a little sense of a timeline, but you don't get any examples. So the answer is a little bit vague. It needs supporting details, and it needs analysis. Let's see. To strengthen me in my distress, she's asking God to help her in the middle of her stress. Her distress, in this case, is her house burning down with all her belongings burning with it. Thou hast an house on high erect, framed by that mighty architect. Now she is in a way thanking God for burning down her house, and that her real home is in heaven with God, who has designed it for her. This one doesn't have a topic sentence. The poetry is not what's the word I'm looking for? Not quoted correctly. The analysis is brief, so it's a good start, but it needs a little more work. And this answer, of course, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long, is fantastic because it restates the question, introduces quotes, it gives quotes from the beginning, middle, and end. It allows analysis, and then it concludes. So this is a very good example. So then we went on to talk about how do you write a better answer. And there are 5 steps to this. 1, you restate the question because you can't assume that your writer knows what you're talking about. Introduce your supporting evidence, and you do that by saying Bradstreet stated. In line 2, it reads, things like that. And I will post another handout on D2L that was handed out in class that will give you more examples for that. Then you'll write your supporting evidence, your quote. You'll explain your supporting evidence, and you do it with 2 steps. 1, you give context, tell us, the readers, what's happening. And then 2, you connect your evidence to the question. How does this evidence support your answer? And then, of course, lastly, you're going to conclude. And so this is the in-class assignment that we did. The Yellow English book, page 142. We had people rewrite their answers to number 3, and that was the question we just looked at. We used the 5-step process, and then we shared them out. If you weren't in class, of course, you could participate. So if you want to do this, it's worth 15 points. Do it on your own, and I'll put a Dropbox in the in-class work as well. and that I have posted student examples so that you can take a look and see what people generated. Some of them are complete, some of them aren't. It's a difficult process, it takes work. If you can't do it yourself, let me know, come talk to me, and I will help you out. Thus, this concludes our brief in-class lecture.